This episode of In Defense of Bad Movies is brought to you by Audible.com. I'm sorry, I misspoke. Audible.com, we would like this episode to be sponsored by you, or actually anyone out there. This is In Defense of Bad Movies. Hey everybody, Sam here. Happy New Year.
It's just Sam. Everyone else is just going to be quiet.
We weren't supposed to say anything. We were going to totally gaslight him.
You were going to make me do this all by myself?
Yeah. This is what, our 30th episode that we've done, I think. And in every single episode, even the ones you've defended, you've come up with something bad to say at the very beginning of the episode. I'm kidding.
I have bad things to say about this movie. I just didn't have any quippy things.
So we need to say that we are doing a series of unfortunate events.
What are they?
Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events. And this is a 2004 movie that stars Jim Carrey and young Emily Browning, and also
our second Emily Browning movie. Our second
We've
Jim
got
Carrey
two
movie.
alumni in this movie.
Yeah, we do. And then, sorry, I don't have the names of the other actors in
Meryl
this movie.
Streep.
Meryl Streep.
Let's just read the cast
we
list.
have the glorious, the undefendable Meryl Streep. We're just
Undefendable. She is tremendously overrated.
She's so
Is this what she said about Trump? You're so pissed off.
Why does she use platforms to
Guys, I'm going to be totally straight with you. I have no idea what's going on right now.
I was joking.
Oh, okay.
I meant to say, she's perfect.
She's perfect.
I think you meant indefensible.
Yeah, indefensible. I did.
She's
Thank you.
Awful.
No.
Worse.
See, she is somebody that needs no defense. Is what you might have been trying to say.
Yes.
Okay.
So I guess that's the way.
So we can't talk about her till the very end.
Yeah, exactly. We have a segment for that. Speaking of segments, we're not going to get to that just yet. So, hey, Bobby.
Hey, what's up?
How's it going? Hey.
It's going okay.
So anyway,
Laura.
this movie is this movie is actually really fresh on Rotten Tomatoes.
It's not really fresh.
It is very fresh.
Got a C
It's moderately
minus.
fresh.
Yeah, it's
got an 85, right?
62? I don't
That
know.
was 85.
I thought it was a 71.
Phone race.
It's clearly...
We all have different numbers, and I have no opinion.
We decided
Meanwhile,
to do this
let me
because...
finish with introductions, Laura.
We're gonna drag this introduction out. I don't. If we haven't made that abundantly clear.
Hi, Laura.
72.
Hi, Sam.
Hi, Laura.
Hi.
Okay, now let's get to the movie.
72%.
We
Excellent.
watched Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events, including, but not limited to, us having to watch this movie.
Oh.
That would have been a good...
That
That
was
would
for
be
the
perfect.
intro.
I don't know why you didn't do it. That's
Because I've been wanting to do this, the other one, for a while.
fair enough.
So yeah, we watched that movie, because kind of in honor of the fact that it's going to be, they're releasing it as a Netflix TV show.
Yeah.
Starring NPH.
Neil Patrick Harris.
Today's Jim Carrey. We can all agree, right?
He does look like he's doing a real
Yeah, we saw...
He sure does.
similar impression, which I am fine with.
Me too. I think Jim Carrey is delightful in this movie.
I'm going to reserve judgment.
Well, I will reserve judgment.
Well, I think that's it. We got nothing else to say, right?
So,
Bobby has a real big bug up his ass about this movie.
Lemony
so
Snickets
we
are my
gonna-
favorite dessert. It was 72. Did we already say that?
Yes.
72 for 62
Bobby is
Bobby
way
lost the
behind,
phone race.
and he
And he's
is
in
going
bind.
to tell you.
I'm kind of
how
operating
he
on my
hates
own wavelength.
this movie.
Much like Jim Carrey was in this movie.
No, not really.
I'm kind of worried now about the series because I feel like we've made a mistake to watch this movie because there's a lot that I really like about this movie and really think is pure and perfect for the books. And now to go see another person tackle it, okay guys, you got big shoes to fill.
That's okay. It
everyone
looks
still is good.
exactly the same.
It doesn't look exactly the
doesn't.
same though.
Well, I only saw the commercial. I didn't see the full preview.
It's TV, it's lower budget, so it feels like it's a bit more Brian Fuller. You know.
Oh.
Is Brian Fuller doing it?
No, he should be.
In my head, I had heard Ryan Murphy, and I'm like,
How dare you? We wouldn't be
Ryan
watching.
Murphy did the OJ show. That was really good this year.
I heard about that. That was good.
Do we want to talk about
OJ
that?
Yeah, the People versus OJ Simpson.
No.
It was
Brian
up.
Fuller didn't do that.
No,
Ryan Murphy.
Yeah. That's people.
So Ryan Murphy directed this movie.
He can do one or two of a show. So like a miniseries is perfect. For him.
Exactly. But any show that extends past 2 episodes, he cannot do.
No point.
Oh, there were more than 2 episodes.
Well,
The People
then
versus
the
Everything.
8 of them were probably really bad.
All right, guys.
It's science.
At some point, Jonathan Groff is just going to start being mean to Rachel for like nowhere reason, and it's going to get preposterous. That's exactly what's going to happen.
Or
happened in the movie.
there's going to be incest or something.
There's
I'm
always
talking
incest.
about Nip Tuck. It's a really bad TV show, but I watched all the seasons of it. Don't know why.
And then
but
Julia Roberts is going to eat Pray and Love.
Was that Ryan Murphy too?
Yeah, I don't know. I just felt left out. I wanted to jump in with something. I didn't mean to kill it.
And then
Elizabeth Gilbert's the female Ryan Murphy. I see what you're saying.
American Horror Story is a good counterexample because not even
Why did I go for that?
not even the first 2 episodes of that were good.
Nope.
It was not a good show.
And yet Dennis O'Hare insists on continuing to play with this guy.
A lot of
upsetting.
It's a talented. He's
It's
got
a
a lot-
really good cast.
I mean, Kathy Bates has been involved.
I think it's work. It's like
It is
Sarah,
steady work.
Sarah Paulson,
And it's
probably.
interesting
Paulson's
work.
great.
It's certainly like neat stuff you don't get to do elsewhere. So I guess as an actor, that's exciting.
actors. Anyway, so let's find out what this movie is about. Lauren, do you want to pull up the clock?
Of course I do.
Start the clock.
Oh wait, I didn't start the clock.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I'm ready. I'm
Tell me-
ready.
Say it again. Do it again really quick.
It's time for Laura's 15-second
15-second.
movie synopsis.
All right, starting.
Okay, so this movie is based on a
Missing
series of books and with the same name,
Sharpen
and
it
it's
up.
about kids who lose their parents in a fire, and they there's this murderous Count Olaf who wants
And
to
done.
inherit their fortune.
Oh,
Laura,
sorry, you went over.
I feel like you were struggling to summarize the plot just now because there is none.
I can do a very linear plot from point A to point Z
Classic
in the
5-act
movie.
screenplay structure. Thank
I
you very
really
much.
enjoy our new segment, Lauren's commentary of Laura's 15-second movie synopsis.
It really adds to the tension, if I do say so myself.
I really enjoyed it. So,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
here's the synopsis. A series of unfortunate events happen to these children.
Yes.
Accurate.
And then there is an ending.
They are each
There's
equally
no real ending.
unfortunate, and nothing escalates, and then it ends.
Yeah, Bobby is acting for this. I mean, so this movie is based on a series of books, as I mentioned, and apparently each book has a different theme to it. So,
Oh, well, that's not.
and then I look like on the
Laura,
Netflix.
did you even read these books?
No, I haven't.
Did you
read
even
them.
read these books in preparation for the show?
I read the first one.
I
All right, I'll be here's the authority. It's okay, guys. I got it. You just ask me what you need to ask me.
Okay, so Lauren, so I read on Wikipedia that it opens up because after they lose their parents in this house fire, this
Mysterious house fire.
Yeah, mysterious house fire. Count Olaf wants to get their inheritance, and so he tries to marry her. So that's the last thing that happens in the movie, but that's like it's in the first book.
Just to have a rounding feature, they brought it back.
But she signs with her left hand, even though she's right-handed, so it's invalid. And then the kids are very smart, and they are on to him, and they go to live with different relatives, and then there's always
Each one more delightful than the last.
yes, and then so each book is based on the relatives, right? Or,
Sort of, and it's tangentially related, and not everyone is a relative. But each one is we're moving to a new place to try to find security, and also unwrap this mystery that we keep learning more and more about our parents and the secret society they were involved in.
yeah, the V,
VFD. And so they're not always going to a home with a relative. There's like a academy they go to, and there's another time where like we're infiltrating this hospital because we have to find out information, but it's always a new setting with some sort of terrible adjective, like the horrible hospital or the AirSats elevator.
I have to say I have a fundamental problem with these in that it's kind of like a spoiler alert for what's it called? Walking Dead, this most recent season. It's like when you have this series of unfortunate events where he says from the start, like nothing good's going to happen. These kids are going to be shit on constantly. even though there is some whimsy and joy in it, it zaps a lot of the joy out of it. And I was thinking, like, aren't all stories like this, where a bunch of bad things happen to people, and then at the end it's kind of good? But it's like, I don't know, it's different with this, because, like I said, there's just, like, these kids, they have respites of when they could use their talents and things, and that's pretty cool. But otherwise, it's like, oh no, they go home to these awful people, or...
It is a weird feeling. And each book, I loved the books, even though there was frustration with the ending, because they spun a lot of mysteries that at the end they sort of answered, like, well, in life you don't always find out the answers to things, so they never
That's why we go to fucking fiction and shit.
But they're so clever and whimsical, and the author's point of view is so interesting. And in the books, they do give the kids victories and stuff, like, to let them build and grow. And so, even though you're right, it feels like on paper, that's going to get super depressing, it still somehow really worked. They were all delightful and interesting, and each had a mystery to solve, and they were a lot of fun.
Yeah, those books sound really delightful and interesting.
I think that the movie does a really good job of capturing that. Like, even though, excellent. Like, the narrator, who Jude Law plays the narrator, Lemony Snicket, and he spells it out for you that these kids are going to have to go through. I think it's kind of, in a way, like, more accessible to kids to watch it, like, they know that, like, and the way that they have these, like, these series of unfortunate events are these bad things that happen. I think that they do it in a way that's kind of, like, more whimsical, and, like, they're not as...
Yeah, it's a highly
hard,
it's a highly stylized, absurd movie.
Yeah.
Like, the solutions to stuff are ridiculous, and no one believes these kids, and it's so silly. And I think they do...
And frustrating.
And I think they do an amazing job of capturing the voice of the author. Like, Lemony Snicket's narration is so distinct and so humorous, and they do a really good job of recreating that in the difficult adaptation to film.
Yeah, and I think, like, just reading the synopsis on Wikipedia of every, like, book, I think that they include enough in the movie to make it interesting, but not too much where you're just, like, crammed with different characters. Like, you have enough interesting characters in the movie but you're not overwhelmed with characters either.
As far as, like, the really tall order of let's adapt 3 sort of disparate books into one film, like, they did a great job. There's flaws, there's problems, but it's also like, wow, good effort, guys. And now Bobby.
And
then Bobby happened.
I'm not going to make any judgment on the book because I haven't read them. Honestly, the only thing I know about the books is that Klaus on the cover looks really like they're trying to milk the the Harry Potter crowd. But no, my problem with the movie. How very
dare you? By the way, I went away quickly.
But hey, man, in the movie he doesn't wear glasses and have gross hair.
That is the movie making a dumb
I'm saying
choice.
That's great. No, that's great. But it's not evoking Harry Potter at all, which is awesome. But
it's going for moderately attractive children as opposed to true to character.
Yeah, Harry Potter look like. But no, but the movie, the plot. I have 2 problems. I mean, 2 big problems. I have a lot of little problems, but the 2 big problems is the movie itself is devoid of, like, any sort of plot structure. It really feels like we're jumping from, like, Wikipedia summary of a book to another Wikipedia summary of the book until the climax just kind of happens. But then my other problem is, like Sam was saying, like, it ties into the fact that since there's no plot, there isn't really tension. You're never, like, really wondering how an event's going to happen. You know Olaf is going to win. You know that the kids are going to get it right away. You know that none of the adults are going to get it, and that's just going to keep happening until finally something, and then they best Olaf. Until presumably there was another book, and they were going to repeat the same cycle, or another movie, and they were going to repeat the same cycle again. But, so the narrative doesn't answer or provide even, like, a little bit of any of the answers that it kind of sets out with, There's this idea that the parents belong to a secret society. We get no information about the secret society by the end.
Welcome to reading the books.
Does not make a good movie, though.
You gotta get, like, 8 or 9 before you get information on that society. Well, and certainly the argument is they were hoping to set up a franchise and keep on going.
Sure, but the first Harry Potter movie, which is not perfect, answers a ton of questions and leaves questions open.
I don't think it's fair to compare this to Harry Potter because I don't think it's anything like Harry Potter.
But I'm saying you take the first movie of almost any. You take Star Wars, which is the first in a series of movies. Star Wars leaves a lot of questions open. You know, it leaves what's up with Luke's father, but it answers.
Please do not compare.
Well,
this
Star
movie to
Wars
Star
was meant to
Wars.
stand alone
'Cause
too.
nothing's as good
And
as
I
Star
feel
Wars.
like this might have.
But
maybe it was meant to, but it didn't work.
if you take that aside, you look at like you look at the Phantom Menace, which we've done, which is a far lesser movie, but it answers questions that the narrative sets up at the beginning, leaves a lot
Bonnie,
more
what was
open.
the last movie you defended? Was it Tron Legacy?
Tron Legacy sets up some questions. Obviously,
Do
wanted
you
to start
not
the series.
remember? You just said that movie was
Tron Leg-
absolutely
They're real
perfect.
easy questions, though, like, huh? And then it just
Lemony
gets answered
Snicket,
with
Lemony
huh.
Snicket doesn't answer any of them aside from like their parents knew this person, their parents knew this person. There might be a secret society. There's something with a spyglass. Lemony Snicket pulls out a spyglass in the ultimate fuck you at the end.
No, because he was in the society, too.
Okay, obviously, but what the fuck is the society? How does
It's
Count
the society.
Count
They
Olaf?
were going to start it. They didn't finish it. So, in the small
That does
amount
not
of
make a
then
good
there's
movie.
Flash.
That
If
makes
they
a
followed-
good portion of a movie.
And I will be fair to you, because if they follow the books, they still wouldn't have told you, even if they did all 12 books.
But then you take Olaf, who's the movie's antagonist. You take Olaf, who's the movie's antagonist, who is laser focused on you know, destroying the Baudelaire children and everyone they touch. And the only answer we get is they have like an inheritance that he wants, but like you don't understand Olaf's relationship with this secret society. You don't really understand why, like,
That's a fair point.
a ton of money
because
is a really flimsy
there's a really
motivation.
thin reference to the fact that he is also in society. And it's in the one, like, group shot, and the argument is like, and if you pause, this guy in the back looks like he could be Olaf. And I agree, it would have been more fun if they kind of
I
spun that
honestly
in
assumed
more.
it was like an Assassin's Creed sort of thing where there was another secret society who was battling their secret society.
Because he's got the eyeball, but he doesn't realize that everyone in the VFD has the eyeball tattoo. And there's this continuing motif of the eyeball. And so, like, doing something to reinforce that would have been cool.
And the secret society's name, which we're referencing, that wasn't in the movie, right?
VFD.
VFD? But that wasn't mentioned in the movie, right?
You see it in a few places.
Do you really?
Yeah,
Okay.
there's in his desk, you see some cigarettes, which are actually like fast burning sticks. That has VFD in like the dad's desk, and
Interesting.
it appears in a couple other places. And if you've read the books, you're excited. If you don't know what's happening, like what's
Sure.
happening, as
But
you've
that
experienced.
only
Yeah.
helps his point, though.
Yeah.
Which is
Which is
For
this
sure.
movie does not. I mean,
the movie needs to be accessible to everyone, not
And-
just people who.
and it
read
needs to
books.
be a complete
It
plot.
felt like it to me anyway that they were going for
Or-
they packed in everything that they could in the movie,
Yeah, they were trying.
and that they were anticipating more movies.
Clearly,
to
they
explain
were
that
anticipating.
more.
But my point is like.
And also, just an argument for that,
Yeah.
just real quick. If the first 3 books deal very little with all of this, it really comes into the later books. So if they were really trying to keep it simple, stupid, and like be pure-ish to the books, then the stuff really doesn't come in anywhere. So I think that was probably a mistake. But that could be an argument for why they didn't include enough on that.
Yeah.
I have a question about how. So these family members were actually from several books.
The different relatives?
yeah. Like,
they sort of run out of relatives at some point, and I'm a little pressed to remember how
But
they
it
end
is
up
like
everywhere.
one book per family member, kind of.
Sort of, like
I would have assumed that. Yeah.
different location of...
Yeah,
That's
like
just a
care.
weird choice when you're trying to make a franchise. Why you would shove a bunch of books into one movie? I guess, but maybe they were trying to cut down from 13 books to fewer movies.
And the
That's a lot.
the stories are thin and silly, so possibly stretching one to be a full.
But
would
it
be
really
hard.
kind of made this Shaggy Dog thing of like, okay, it's just a series of relatives, and it's
In the books, I'm curious. Like in the books, do each of them end with Olaf like killing whoever they're attached with in that book?
Pretty much. Not exactly, but something bad happening because of Olaf. Lots of people die. Lots of bad happens.
Huh.
They're super dark. It's fun.
I think I'm going to read them now. I'm really curious.
And then, so my second big problem is that's dark. And Jim Carrey's super broad 90s Jim Carrey performance feels really at odds with that material.
But everyone is broad. Even the books are broad.
But not in the way that Jim Carrey's broad.
Well, no one ever is. But still, I feel like...
Jim Carrey feels like Ace Ventura has wandered into this movie.
No, this
But
is
he's-
more
yeah.
this is more toned down.
Which is
It was
fine.
that bad.
Like you can have a broad villain who's like cracking jokes and stuff, who's really absurd,
But I think
and the
he's
kids
supposed
are
to
the
be
only
very
ones who.
theatrical and like over the top, and I think that they want to they wanted to make it more toned down. They didn't want to make him just straight up an evil villain.
Oh no, I think they straight up wanted to make him an evil villain.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, like, not
like a
not like a dark,
Palpatine,
yeah, like, you don't want to see that in a kid's movie.
Yeah. You don't want to see a Voldemort.
And I was joking with Laura yesterday about how there's a scene where he, gets into an argument with a baby and it ends with him hitting a kid, which is like, okay, that's tonally weird, but the main tonal issue I have with Jim Carrey's performance...
He didn't hit the kid, he slapped him. Let me tell you, there's a big difference before, like, pounding a kid in the face versus slapping someone.
You're not going to be allowed to babysit.
Order in the court.
Anyone. I'm not advocating for either of those.
But I'm
just saying, if Bobby goes, he hit a kid versus he slapped the kid.
I'm just saying, if Sam starts mouthing off, if I just smack him to stop him, like, that's one thing. But if I full out clock him in the face, like, that's another thing.
And I'm saying fair enough. Lower end of tonal weirdness. Higher end of tonal weirdness, especially in a movie that's devoid of, like, any tension, when your broad slapsticky villain who is clearly the bad guy and who, like, these three characters are the only ones who can see he's bad.
Well, he's such a good actor.
It's really weird when he's, like, straight up murdering every sympathetic character we run into. It's really strange.
Like, I mean, Bobby, you're saying it like he's going out and, like, slashing them in the throat. Like, he's not doing that. It's done very... Like, it's off screen. It's not. It's like a poison.
Like, it's throwing a woman into being eaten by leeches.
It's like
eaten alive by leeches while the baby watches.
It's like burning people alive in their own home.
Right.
It's so cute.
No, I'm not. I mean, all of these are very dark, and it sounds like the story matter. Like, it's very dark to begin with. And they're taking something from a book and they're adding it in the movie. And how do you do that without? I mean, I don't know. What do you want? What do you want from that? How do you want that to change?
Who's your perfect Olaf?
Who's my perfect Olaf?
Tell us. Please tell us what you think is the best way to show a murder of those from the book. How would you show it? If you, Bobby Mattern, were making this movie.
You, Bobby Mattern.
I would have Olaf be, very sinister, very charismatic.
Got it. Moving on.
No. I'm trying to think. Like, it's okay. He can be...
We are mad about Mads.
And he can be really catty with them, but not in the flail about slapstick way that Jim Carrey's doing it. Because it informs a different kind of humor.
Adds some levity to the movie. And it's already dark story matter.
It's not as dark as Lemony Snicket is telling us it's dark, though. Like, it's not that dark of a movie. There's tons of jokes. Some of them land, some of them don't.
Well, that's to help us get through all the dark.
But, okay, it's not like Olaf is the only source of levity. If anything, I think Olaf should be less that sense of levity and should be more the obstacle they have to overcome. You know? Like,
But I think... Okay, no.
But I still feel like he's sinister. Like, I know you're saying that, and I think... But, like, he still feels dangerous. And
he feels dangerous because we see him murder his way through our cast of characters. But, like, I'm sorry.
But
go
when he
ahead.
gets, like, real still and, like, turns his head and just glares at kids with the one eye. Like, I like the look of him. Like, he's just tall and lean and spooky looking and, like...
It's good makeup.
That
fake nose looked really real.
The way, the living conditions, I mean, that's horrifying.
Yeah, this is classic Victorian, child drama.
Classic Victorian child drama.
Yeah. Moving from your privilege in your beautiful Wes Anderson mansion over to Oliver Twist.
Didn't it have a Wes Anderson feel in the beginning of the movie?
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The backstory scene.
Yeah. The books being pulled down, just a lot of shots were very...
That's interesting. I didn't think of that. I thought very, like Tim Burton.
Yeah.
But
not really. None of it felt like Tim Burton.
Should I jump into IMDb trivia?
Nope.
Okay, I'm like...
Tim Burton...
It's
you can tease us. Go ahead.
Tim Burton at one point attached to direct?
At one point, Tim Burton was attached to direct. And
in 2004?
Earlier than that, and this is IMDb trivia, so details are limited, but Tim Burton was attached to direct. He envisioned Johnny Depp as Count Olaf.
Because he envisions Johnny Depp as
everything.
Yeah.
God, I'm not gonna...
in 2004... I still like Johnny Depp.
Yeah, in 2004, Johnny Depp might be a good call for Olaf, because Johnny Depp, I think, he's a fucking clown now, but he in, like, the height of his career, he was really good at juggling serious with kind of goofy shit, you
It
know?
would have been cool. I'm for that. And then, so the director, when he came on, wanted to keep a lot of the elements and actually considered having Tim Burton as the designer. But the movie does look in a lot of ways like something he would do.
Yeah, the Olaf striped costume at the very beginning reminded
weird
me
angles.
of Beetlejuice. And
It reminded me
It's
more
got a
of Wes
very
Anderson. I
Hot
think.
Topic aesthetic.
Hot Topic. Wes Anderson meets Tim Burton.
Maybe.
God, I'm so in if you pitch it that way.
With the Thomas Newman score, it's all like slinky and magical.
Thomas
in the
Newman
background.
sounding more Thomas Newman than he's ever
I
Thomas
love
Newman.
how Thomas Newman
Thomas
Newman
Newman.
sounds. I'm
You
in the
listen to
ocean
it and
now.
you're like, American Beauty and Finding Nemo. And but, yeah. No, there's something that just doesn't click for me with, and I like Jim Carrey.
Really?
Yeah.
It's based on this show.
I'm not gonna rate him against two performances, but, yeah, and like I was really hard the first time when I watched it in 2004 in the theaters. I walked out going like, "What the fuck was Meryl Streep doing?" I watched it this
Being
time.
amazing.
Meryl
Yeah,
Streep,
she's great. This is my favorite part.
Do you just mean what was she doing here?
Meryl Streep is really fun in this movie. I'm fine with. And
You
No,
can't
her
see me
politics
now, but I am flipping Bobby off. We all know Bobby's a Trump supporter, so that is why he's dissing Meryl Streep right now. I'm
shit's
so
cold,
sorry.
boy.
I did
So
just have to make
cold.
sure you weren't saying like, Meryl Streep, what was she doing?
No, I was saying that was one thing I feel like I misjudged the first time, because when I watched it the second time, Meryl Streep is really fun in it.
Gotcha.
There were a lot of fun cameos.
Emily Browning is magnetic as all get out in this
She's
movie.
very
She's
pretty.
good.
It's
She's
like,
really
what
good.
happened between here and Sucker Punch?
Don't know.
She's great in Sucker Punch.
She's
so.
playing the same character. This
That's hard to say.
poor girl in a really bad situation.
Because here she has intelligence
No,
and
I know.
agency.
No, there was that one scene where she did the dance that
That's true.
we
That's a
couldn't
really
see.
good point. Damn, forgot. Oh, Sucker Punch.
Oh, I should have brought this up earlier when we were talking about it, but now I'm backtracking. I pulled a quote from Roger Ebert, who liked this movie, but he said, "The problem is everything seems to be an act. Nothing really seems to be at stake. The villains are teeth-gnashing hams. The hazards are more picturesque than frightening, and the children are unnaturally collected and capable. There's some family secret involving spyglasses, which will no doubt be resolved in later films. It's brought on stage and then not really dealt with." And that's...
I think that's the only thing that they don't cover in this, but I think, I don't remember this movie watching it last night, and I'm like, what happens? And then, pieces were coming back, and it was fun, because, I only remember Meryl Streep's part in this movie, and it's so great and so memorable, but all the other parts, I'm like, oh, that's right, that's happening, ooh, that's right, they do get out, and it's okay after that, and so, to me, watching it again, I was like, oh, there were stakes for them, at least I felt like there were, and a lot of the critics agree with me, so.
72%, as it were.
72.
There were so many cameos in this movie, and I don't know how many of them were cameos or how many of them are character actors who now I know them more.
Captain
But,
O'Hara.
Yeah, obviously that's a cameo.
Who was she?
No, she was a cameo.
Oh, and then
No, I mean, I'm trying to
Stifler's
think
mom.
what you would...
Jane
Jennifer-
Lynch, Cedric the Entertainer,
Jane Lynch was in it?
Jane Addams.
She was a realtor.
Oh, holy
Jennifer
shit. Yeah.
Coolidge, Craig
Yeah.
Ferguson.
the Affleck Duck.
The Affleck Duck.
Was that a thing? Was that
That was
supposed to be...
actually, it's actually the Affleck Duck, and the sound is very Affleck.
Yeah, which I'm like, that's totally an Affleck Duck, and I looked it up, and there was an article from 2004 saying the Affleck Duck to make a cameo in upcoming Lemony Snicket.
And that
Oh
was
my
weird.
god.
That is,
Because when that happened, I'm like, was that supposed to be...
and it was, because I actually had to look when did Affleck Duck start? It was 2001 or something, so it was definitely in our cultural awareness.
And it was while Gilbert Gottfried was still playing the Affleck.
Yes.
It
before
was
the
well
controversy.
before
Yeah.
Japan,
Yeah.
existed.
Oh. No, while it still existed.
But yeah, that was a weird cameo.
That was a weird part that pulled me out. I think the movie did a pretty good job of being nebulously timed, except for
Jennifer
a couple of
Coolidge.
things. Yeah. Luis Guzman.
Louis Guzman, star of Teen Witch.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's a real inside podcast
Yeah.
joke. Craig Ferguson.
Craig
Didn't
Ferguson.
have any lines, really.
And that other guy was somebody too, the other guy in the troupe. I recognize him, I don't know what from.
He's a guy.
Yeah, he's a guy, character actor.
He's
We
from
looked
stuff.
him up,
Quick
and
hint?
He's from stuff.
Billy Connolly.
That character actor guy.
Not a cameo, an actual, but yeah. No, not, yeah, anyway. What else, guys? I didn't take many notes in this because
Mine is just great. Awesome.
Yeah,
Love it. Timothy Spall, hilarious is apparently how I spelled that.
Okay, I know I'm going to get
God.
shouted out for this one. I think Jude Law is a weird choice to narrate this. Again,
I
nothing against
agree.
Jude Law, but I think there's something so like self-satisfied and so smarmy about his choice.
I think Bobby's just like
for the narration.
I have tiny
just
amount.
projecting here about his dislike for Jude Law.
I'm totally fine
I
with
don't
Jude
think
Law.
so because you don't think the young Pope looks good. So
The
Young
Pope
Pope looks terrible.
stupid.
it's getting good reviews.
Young Pope looks
Based
like
on just that.
looks like an SNL HBO.
I'm gonna agree with
commercial.
the reaction to him is weird, even though I like Jude Law and I like his voice, and maybe it was this is also terrible, we need a sympathetic voice. But Lemony Snicket in my mind is Daniel Handler, and so Jude Law doesn't sound like Daniel Handler looks.
Well, and
He
I
should
think,
have a weird character.
but
voice.
I think when you do a more
Do that
sympathetic
play
voice
him?
instead of
No, Daniel Handler is the actual writer.
And you know his voice?
No, but
Oh, okay.
Jude Law does not sound the way Daniel Handler looks.
Okay. I see.
But when you do Jude Law, who is playing it more compassionate, more like a little softer too, it contributes to that weird tone for me, where it's like we need to feel for these kids who are going up. I don't know. It just feels really strange in a way I can't iterate. And I think if that narrator was a little more sarcastic and maybe a little more aggressive.
So your Patrick Warburton is going to be spot on
Yes.
for your Lemony Snicket.
I think Patrick Warburton is weird. Like, if I were to choose someone, I would.
He's again opposite from what I picture Lemony Snicket as because I'm seeing Daniel Handler.
But when you have, and I wrote Patrick Warburton down as my as for a later segment. But when you have Patrick Warburton in that role, I think
there's immediately a wink.
yeah, there's a
Certainly,
wink,
yeah.
and it's more absurd, and I think that establishes the tone better. And that's not a knock against Jude Law. I just think when you put that piece into the full,
I don't think you need someone who has like a wink and a nod to the camera or anything. I don't think you need someone like that. I think that you do, if you want it to be more tonally equal, as you say, instead of so sporadic, then you need someone like Jude Law who is, has a very mellow voice and doesn't have a lot of.
but establishes a
it's not. It doesn't
different movie than the one that's happening.
He is the only adult that's entirely on their side.
Yes.
And so, yeah. And the movie is trying to walk that line very difficultly, the really silly and absurd, and then there are moments that are trying to be really sweet and emotional. And so I think that voice is trying to
I thought that
back
brought that
that up.
back.
Yeah, right. In the realism and compassion. Having Patrick Warburton talk about the sad scene where they're trying to get together and just remember their parents and have a night of just sanctuary between the kids. In that moment, a sarcastic voice might not carry that through.
Okay, crazy thought. Do you need a narrator during that moment?
Fair enough. You need to remind everyone there's a narrator or they'll forget is what Hollywood thinks.
Yeah.
That's true.
And I do think the narration overstepped a few times. In a film, you don't need to tell people exactly what characters are thinking, and he does that a lot. Or he doesn't do that a lot. He does that he does that more frequently in the beginning. But Emily Browning and I forget the kid's name who plays.
Macon.
Yeah, they're both totally capable. I think
Emily Browning's capable.
He's capable.
He's a child, but he's not my favorite.
But they can sell sad and alone in the wake of their parents' death.
They've got
fair enough.
sad child eyes.
And then Klaus just kind of fucks off for the rest of the movie. It doesn't do much. Which isn't a bad thing because Violet's way more fun.
Yeah.
But so I don't know. That's my personal taste there. And it's nothing against Jude Law. I just don't think Jude Law was the right fit for that narration.
That's fair. And I think as you're saying, talking over certain scenes, and potentially trying to throw in more the feel of the books, where the narration is really ever present and always commenting.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure it was attempts to be like that, but also, you're doing a movie, you don't need it. Mm-hmm. That's fair. That's a good critique.
That is a rough one because in the books, and like I said, I just read the first one, but the narrator is he's a character. He is definitely a character.
Oh, he's a character, all right.
So what?
No,
so how do you do it?
maybe Jim Carrey should have been the narrator, huh? I'm rolling
amazing.
my eyes right
He could
now
also
at
have been the
Bobby.
narrator. That would have been so fun. And dark and weird twist, and that wouldn't make any sense, actually. But he is good at doing different
And you're the only one.
characters.
You're the only one in the audience who realizes that Jim Carrey's also the narrator, and you're trying to tell your mom the whole time, like,
Like,
no,
no, that's
I'll
Lemony
also-"
Snicket.
And then your mom leaves to go to the restroom, and then you find her dead on the hallway because Olive's killed her.
Did you not like Stefano? Did you not like
Some Days of Our
Captain
Lives?
Shan? All of Jim's characters that he came in to do.
Again, like each individually, they work
Bobby
in a different
was,
movie.
Bobby had a rough childhood. Let's just put it that way.
Such a rough childhood.
That is why I'm explaining
You grew up in
why
the inner streets of Cyprus.
I did.
The inner
he
city streets of
does not
Cyprus.
like this movie, and he doesn't have a heart, and he's not compassionate. So I'm just explaining to our audience.
That's true. I mean, it's well documented.
If you've not met Bobby personally, which is not likely,
He's
if
not
you're
an
in our
ex-person,
audience.
so
All right, guys. Any
Wait,
other big
yeah, we
things
can. I
wanna
mean, I
talk
can
about?
keep going.
Oh,
Dude.
do.
oh god,
We're going out of order now.
We've got all
I thought the happiest elf thing was a little try hard.
No, it's amazing!
It's like a really good way to pat yourself on the back, like right out the gate.
It is, okay. It's amazing though. It's a thing in the books
Okay.
that he keeps referencing, like, you shouldn't be reading the story. If you don't like this kind of thing, go read this book about the littlest elf and all his adventures in Elfland.
so cute.
And so out of the gate, I, as a book fan watching the movie for the first time, that was amazing to me. I'm like, this is the greatest!
I was a little bit annoyed when movies do this sometimes, where they take for granted that you're watching it in a movie theater, and so often we're not. And so it was a
that
little
it
bit.
mentions the
Yeah,
theater.
yeah. When he says like, "Well, you could go into Theater 1, which is showing whatever right now," but then he does kind of
does it
self-correct
later.
it later.
spot on Jude Law.
Leave-
impression.
Thank you.
Leave whatever
Actually,
theater.
Jude Law just walked in here and did that real quick. And then he walked away. Thanks, Jude. We really appreciate it.
But then later does reference the leave whatever theater, living room, or airplane you are watching this
Yeah,
in
which
right
is kind
now.
of safe, but it's I don't know. It's always kind of bothered me when you see that in movies and. Whatever.
All right, fair enough.
I,
It doesn't. It
It's
doesn't
a,
lend
it's
itself
a
to
small
home viewing.
it's a small thing, but when you're breaking the fourth wall, it does get a little bit like, how do you do that in a movie now, knowing that probably not even that, like a quarter of the people watching it will be in the theater, and the rest are going to be at home on their phone in any number of places.
I'm sorry, are we talking? I was on my phone.
Yeah, I know. You're watching the latest House of Cards.
I've just like when I watch movies on my phone, I've corrected in my brain, and I call my phone a movie theater, so I feel better.
My own personal movie theater, where the screen is gigantic if I hold it really close to my face.
What's his
Nope,
name?
that's me.
Oh, good for you.
But it did have a Mitch delivery.
Your tone was very much your Mitch. What's his Hedberg?
Hendry, that's the one.
Hedberg. What else we got, Bobby?
we're all waiting for you.
This is just nitpicky stuff.
That's fair.
I think they overdid the baby subtitles.
Oh, I hated
Something
the
like
baby
that.
subtitles.
I think-
The first time I saw it, I didn't like it, and this time I'm like, oh, that's cute.
I was the opposite. First time I'm like, this is delightful. And this time I'm like, okay, I can see why this is too much.
If you do one, it's hilarious, and then if you do 20 of them,
And they were too contemporary or something, just too outside of the movie.
Sonny was very mature, that's
yeah,
for sure.
I didn't care for
And
that.
that's, how else to do that though? Because again, in the book, we do get to know what Sonny is thinking. And so,
the narrator, right? That's where you use the narrator. Sonny at that point was
they'll
thinking...
have a series of like in quotes, like, oh no, Violet said, oh dear, Sonny
You
gurgled.
just said you didn't want the narrator.
But that's
and
a great point
I
for
don't
the narrator
think so.
to tell
I
the
don't think
story.
so. Oh,
But
and so
it
Sonny was
was-
thinking this. Sonny was thinking that. Sonny was thinking that.
It was
I
made
think
clear-
that's
Well,
like
you have to-
that just
if they cut back how
breaks
much she
you
talks.
right out of
Yeah,
the movie.
It was made clear early on that he wasn't sure what she was saying.
Yeah.
So
That's true. How do we
obviously-
suddenly have a baby translator?
Yeah.
From the.
The answer is easy.
Simpson.
You look who's talking it and have Roseanne come in and do the record the
Perfect.
baby.
I brought up the scene earlier where Jim Carrey picks a fight with the baby, which was not funny to me. But I think if you rip the subtitles right out of that scene, it's already a little bit funnier, right? Because you have Jim Carrey making noises at a baby and a baby making noises back at him, and they're going back and forth.
And it does end with the baby doing a weird, like, ugh, you're a weirdo face.
Yeah.
That would have been funny.
Where the baby actually said, "This guy is the mayor of Crazy Town" or something stupid. Like, oh, God. Yeah, that was definitely
Sonny's
below.
real sarcastic.
Sonny's entire presence, I guess, subtitle presence was the absolute worst part of that movie for me.
I could see where that would be. I mean, because the first time I saw it, I was like, I don't know about that. But I mean, it's like, here or there. Neither here nor there for me.
Speaking of neither here nor there, I'm gonna totally, like, I don't hold this against the movie, but Sonny's terrifying CGI version of herself.
That was not pretty. Okay, there's more IMDb
I have trivia, guys.
Okay, all right.
The director originally wanted an entirely CGI Sunny.
Oh
Which
my
is the
God.
worst idea. I'm so
God.
glad whatever better angels tucked him down from that.
Thank
Yeah.
God.
And even so, we're stuck with like a couple of really CGI moments.
We're not there yet still.
No.
Yeah, and we had wondered during the Tron Legacy episode if we were there, and I don't know if anyone's seen Rogue One. We are not there.
Oh, I haven't.
And it's so easy, like, just don't do that effect.
Yeah.
Just do something else.
Nope.
Yep.
Just pocket that over here.
So they did it in Rogue One? They did something like that?
Oh, do you want to know?
Don't-
No. Just the yes is fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just, not even a yes, just shake your head once.
I mean, it's not even a
or-
spoiler. One of the main characters.
Just slowly
So
walk
the
out.
robot?
Huh?
No, never mind. I
Is
don't
it
know.
Alan
You don't
Tudyk?
want to know.
Is it
You
two
don't
dicks?
want. You
Nope,
don't
I don't
want
wanna
to
I
know.
don't. Is it a spoiler? I feel like you should go in with reasonable expectations.
I haven't seen any
Okay, we're not
previews-
going to tell you
seen any
anymore.
previews
We're
even,
not going
so.
to. We're not going to tell you
I don't
anymore.
say anything.
Back to Lemony Snicket. And that was an invitation for you to continue.
Alright.
Yeah. Well,
Okay, what else
A
did
word
I
which
write?
here means.
Go
on with what you're
Billy
doing,
Connolly
guys.
has a very obviously fake wrist snake in one of the scenes.
I don't know what you're talking about. The snakes were all real.
Oh
Even the
God!
CGI
And they
one.
like freaked me out. Oh, they
Oh.
their sounds.
They
and
look so cuddly.
We had a lizard loose in the house earlier, and Laura did not care for
Pretty
that
raw.
either. She,
Well,
that
It was a snake. It was not a lizard. It was a baby snake.
We will
I'm
post it
fairly
with,
sure.
in the liner, in the notes of the show. It had legs.
There's a
So it's an evolved snake. Oh no.
there's a moment where again it's like whatever, who cares? But there's a moment where he's like playing with a snake, and then for a shot, it's wrapped around his wrist, and it's very clearly like a snake bracelet from Rainforest Cafe, and he's like petting it like it's a real thing, and then he looks at it and talks to it at one point, and like don't draw attention to it, and then like by the time he gets up, he's like holding a snake again. But yeah,
There's actually plenty of evidence that snakes evolved from lizards, so it would be a devolved snake if it had legs.
and we evolved from snakes.
Also,
Yes.
Bobby, you're supposed to be focusing on the magic in Billy Connolly's eyes,
He's
not
great.
at whatever
I love
snake
Billy
he's
Connolly.
holding.
No!
Really common.
He was that was the most tragic, like, no, he's perfect, and the children should be here forever.
That
with
broke
this
my heart.
Scottish
When,
man.
I mean, just knowing from the
You know-
beginning, like they're not going to be with him, that just kind of broke my heart.
It's weird, and I'm assuming it's order of the books, but it would almost make more sense to do Billy Connolly second, because Josephine's insane, and they're not going to be happy
Yeah.
with Josephine.
And Dr. Montgomery's the last good one they have. Like, it's all downhill from there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what?
Well,
He
maybe
was
not.
like Sirius Black.
I was just going to say that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. And spoiler alert: Sirius Black doesn't make it, and it's.
But you know what?
heart-wrenching.
You don't have to do spoiler alert if you're just talking about Prisoner of Azkaban, because you know he doesn't wind up with Sirius Black by the end of that book. Because, you know, it answers questions that are posited at the beginning of that book, because it pretends to be a standalone book in some senses. And movie.
What do you guys in general think of the relatively recent trend of having a movie that is the beginning of a series? Why can't movies just be movies and then have a series if it's good enough?
Well, this is from a found
But-
property.
Yeah,
And
no,
so
I
that's
agree.
different. Okay, you're just going on to a
Just in
different...
general.
Okay, I gotcha.
in general.
And okay, maybe the book series too. The first book should be a standalone thing.
Yes.
And
Yeah. I think that if you're going to make a book into a movie, then you should
Which I am.
be able to have it in one movie. Like, capture the essence of the entire book.
like you mentioned Star Wars earlier, which is had several movies, many of which were great. It has a very rich world. But the first one is a standalone one. If there were no others after that, it would have been very contained and great.
Yes, I think your first one should be a standalone, but I think no matter what, because, I mean, after Star Wars comes Empire, which doesn't tie up all of its ends,
No.
but it completes an arc.
Yeah.
It completes several
Yeah.
arcs within that movie, and I think you want to be answering some questions at the end of your story, no matter what it is. You don't want to leave everything open for another one. You can maybe earn it if you're Harry Potter and you're on your seventh or eighth movie, and then by that point you don't need to expect people to have watched all the other ones.
Yeah.
But you
Or, I
can't,
mean,
you
you
don't
need
earn
to-
it if you're Twilight.
Yeah.
But, and even...
Twilight didn't earn anything.
Oh, yeah, that was terrible. Even Sorcerer's Apprentice, which...
Sorry,
they
Sarissa.
fully... Sorcerer's Apprentice. Nope, Sorcerer's Stone.
I legitimately was like, Sorcerer's Apprentice.
Like, what's wrong with the sentence?
And are we talking about the Nick Cage movie?
Hey.
Sorry, let me... Philosopher's Stone.
Yes.
This, I mean, where they absolutely knew, like, we're making all these damn movies. Like, but you're right, they still had enough of a rounding story to, like, even though they knew they were going on, it was better.
Well, Harry Potter did this smart thing too of a lot of it answered a lot of questions in the first one and then just kept throwing layers and layers on top of those. You know that by, Voldemort killed his parents, Lily protected him from that, but then you get more and more details about,
And that's book structure.
The nature of that.
So, I mean,
And I think
potentially it could have been mismanaged by other hands.
And I think this movie is the biggest argument for having that, because if there had been sequels where these things were answered, people could just say, we'll just look at the sequels for that. But without having that, it is never answered. So it very much suggests, no, answer your damn questions. And if you want to plant things for later movies, that's fine. But
It is, I certainly agree that this movie suffers from the fact that they were trying to set up later stuff, even though knowing the nature of the books, I know it would not have ended up somewhere that was fully cinematically satisfying.
Which I wonder how a cinematic audience would.
Yeah. They finished the movie before the last 2 books were released, and so I think that was probably a mistake as well, because you did not have the full scope of what the series is going to be.
They didn't have working closely with the writer like George R.R. Martin.
Yeah, not working closely, and also a very different story. And the same argument for this movie. The books are thin and they're whimsical, but like as a cinematic story narrative, like they're pretty thin, and so stretching just Bad Beginning to a full movie would have been hard.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate why they tried to cram more in, but to varying degrees of success.
All right. Any other big salient points before we move on? Bobby and Laura discussed gender politics in the movie we just watched.
I got the eye of the tiger.
Susan B. Anthony was on the dollar coin for a reason.
Stop objectifying me.
Gloria Steinem.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Equal rights amendment was never ratified.
Rosie the Riveter.
Oh my God, Bobby, shut up.
Rosie the Robot.
Who's gonna make me my sandwich?
My body, my choice.
Blatant. Susan B. Anthony was taken off the dollar for a reason.
Beyonce.
So Violet's a pretty cool character. She's like totally the hero of the movie, right? Like you're rooting for her more than anyone else. What happens in the climax of this movie? What is the final like big set piece of this movie? It's Klaus rushing to save the 2 female characters who are way more interesting than him. It's weird.
But in the books, that happens.
We're talking about the movie.
It happens right away, and so they flipped it around in the movie. And yes, we are talking about it. I don't think that it was that big of a deal, because I think like the whole movie, you have Violet, who's this really cool character, and then Klaus needs to do something, and so he helps them at that point, and that just happens to be the climax, even though they go through other tribulations, and she's the one to save them, and I think it just happens to be him for that point. It didn't bother me because it felt like just another like sibling thing. It didn't feel like it was like, oh, he's the boy and he's going to save his sisters. So
structurally, like that makes sense to me. Even though I don't know that they did work for, Klaus needing to like finally do something, to save them. But, like Klaus, there is something weird and uncomfortable about this movie building its way up to, especially with Violet kind of taking lead throughout the movie, to Klaus, at the very end having to save his sister from being married to like this gross man. Like there's something that feels weird and outdated about that aspect, I think. I mean, the Sunny thing is like thrown in there for good measure, but I don't like the idea that Klaus has to save Violet from marriage, and that's like the big final thing. And the movie doesn't really have Violet fighting her way out of it either. It's just I don't know. It rubbed me as really weird and uncomfortable.
She just tried to be clever, but it doesn't immediately work out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I can't help you. It's going to rub you the wrong way. I mean, like I said, I think that it's not, I mean, I didn't read it as that, and I'm usually read that situation. I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, it did cross my mind, like, oh yeah, here's the boy saving the sister, but I kind of felt like, it was where, like, cause you have like she's the oldest, and then he's like kind of just thrown in the middle, and then you have like the baby sister, and like you could remove the baby. That's the stake, is the baby, and then you have like, of course, who's Count Olaf. He finds out that he can marry into the inheritance. he's going to try and marry Violet. And, I don't know. Like, she does try and she can't quite get it at that point. I think to me, it showed like how her age more than anything, like of gender, she's still relatively young and she's not that clever, it was like they had to bring back the fact that these are kids after all and they're not.
So her younger brother has to say that.
No,
she spends the whole movie.
Yeah, she's saying like she is
and
so
saving the day. And you're right. Like percentage wise, she saves the day. Like Klaus comes in with a really good fact he read, but like most part it's Violet. And so like this is a moment where like she's tried and she does not see a way out of it.
And you know what? If they had flipped it and Klaus the whole time was just like, I wish I was more helpful, or like, Klaus, do your thing. Oh no, I can't. And then he has his big character moment at the end, but it felt like a weird. Like, yes, I agree, Violet's awesome. And then it just felt like weirdly shoving her into the corner for the big moment at the end.
Can I offer a counterpoint? It's kind of like in a superhero movie, like, let's just throw in Superman. Mm-hmm. But at this point, for whatever reason, he's right next to some kryptonite. She is the one, that's their power. That's his family's power, is her brains. She's got the kryptonite next to her. Count Olaf's watching her, she can't do anything, so they had to work on their other things, and like his ingenuity. And so that's kind of what that was.
It didn't feel like, oh my gosh, we have to have the boy save the day. Like, it felt like it was just another, like,
it's a family that protects you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it never felt like.
I think that's definitely there. But saving the damsel
Bobby, everyone disagrees with you.
Yeah, no,
you need to just stop.
No, but saving the damsel from marriage is such a loaded trope.
I see what you're saying.
That's the point I'm trying to make. Like, no, I don't think it's super egregious or anything, but like there is something uncomfortable about it.
It is a little sad because in the book she does save the day in that moment, and it's a flimsy way that would not work in the movie.
Yeah,
but it's still like, I did it.
She just says about writing left-handed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and she tries to do it in the movie,
hand.
and then he goes like, "No, other hand" or something. Like she tries it.
Okay,
that's fair.
Now we teased this earlier. Let's do IDOBM IMDb trivia TM.
Oh, I've talked about a lot of the stuff.
Did you blow your wad on what was supposed to have been a dry run?
Yeah, and I've got somewhat of a mess on my hands. Yeah. But I really like a lot of my stuff. I feel like you can see a lot of the Tim Burton coming through, and that's a neat thing to know. Like, you might have just said, oh, this movie's very Tim Burton-y. And then like, oh, well, that's why he had his hands all over it.
Okay.
Let's see. So some of the others.
So all the bad parts of the movie, or at least the parts that Bobby thinks are bad, were done by Tim Burton.
Well, considering Jim Carrey was one of the biggest things that Bobby doesn't like.
We all agree that CGI Sunny was a terrible idea, and that comes out very badly. But the whole movie was excessively CGI, and it was actually entirely filmed on sound stages, even all the exterior scenes. It feels like it, and
it's fine.
Successfully adds to the
I have no problem with that.
Stylized quality of it.
Agree.
But it was really neat just how like you had to do 360 degrees of like sets and blue screens and like a really involved process to make everything, which I respect how much effort they put into the movie, and the cost is probably why they couldn't keep it going.
Do we? I know this isn't a thing in there, but do we know how much this movie made versus how much it cost?
We can look that up quickly.
Should I box off? You just do that, and you keep doing your thing, and I'm going to box off with Mojo this.
And I'm going to play Candy Crush.
The part that seemed more successful, even though we don't like the Sunny talking with the subtitles, a lot of the scenes where Sunny is talking are partly visual because it's the lower part of her face was replaced and tracked onto her real face. Which is weird, and I don't even fully understand the sentence, but just how like they made a Sunny composite face.
Yeah, it works.
And you can't see it.
No, that's totally fine.
And so I'm impressed.
You almost don't need subtitles to rely on that.
I don't know. You could have done something.
Okay,
else
the budget.
If you're already affecting that scene, like then you don't need it.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
Is that what you got?
Wow, this is very different. The first thing that I landed on, it says budget was $125 million. What you pulled up said $140 million. And the gross, $213 million versus your phone says $209 million. But either way, so it did make some money, definitely, but it just didn't perform as well as they would have liked, I guess.
I'll have to keep it going.
Yeah.
So we had said initially Tim Burton wanted Johnny Depp to play Count Olaf, and he wanted Glenn Close as Aunt Josephine. And when Brad Silberling came in as director, he replaced Glenn Close, feeling that Meryl Streep was better for the role. And that's a bold move.
Right.
Like, replacing Glenn Close, who is also magical and amazing.
Yeah.
I'm sure they would have both been great.
Huh?
I'm sure they would have both been great.
Yeah.
They would have been. Yeah. And so that's got to be just a very difficult position as a director. Like, I'm sorry, goddess, I would like this other goddess.
That's an interesting choice.
He directs some episodes of Jane the Virgin. That's interesting.
I mean, especially because he wasn't this huge director. So for him to have, like, I've got this, not even a bird in the hand and, versus two in the bush. It's, I've got this amazing bird, but I'm going to get super greedy and, I don't know, whatever. That's crazy.
I want this other amazing bird.
Yeah.
Even though both could arguably be equally amazing.
And then if it got out and the second bird didn't want to do it and the first bird heard about this, how he might have ended up with
Yeah, third bird.
like a Judi Dench or something.
Amazing. During production, Liam Aiken grew 4.5 inches. So he ends up taller than his older
Was
sister.
it all that time spent around Emily Browning? And 4.5 inches below
Is not
talking about his
saying that.
penis.
Yeah, no, we got that.
Erections and whatnot. Sorry, I'm blue.
It always does eventually.
Sorry, Lauren's mom.
Do you use a beer, Nate? No, it's fine. All right. And then just the last one that I kind of liked as a fun trivia fact. The scene when they first come to Count Olaf's house and he's meeting the children for the first time and Klaus says, "Our parents are dead," and he has a reaction and then says, "Wait, give me the last line again." That was actually a real moment where Jim Carrey was actually breaking, but staying in character, saying, "Wait, give me that one again," and then did a whole new thing with it that they decided they really liked. They kept the cameras rolling, and that's perfect.
That is neat. Well, thank you, Lauren.
You're welcome.
Let's do the movie we wish we'd seen.
Ugh, this movie is crap.
I could write a better movie in my sleep.
And now, IDOBM presents the movie we'd wish we'd seen.
And that is, of course, where we take an aspect of the movie and make our own new movie, sequel, prequel, take one of the characters who should have their own movie, something like that. Laura, you liked the movie.
Yeah, I love this movie.
What
I
would you
think
do?
it's so fun and just so whimsical and just like, even it takes really heavy subject matter and I feel like, I know Bobby is going to hugely disagree with me in that, but I feel like it earns everything that it achieves. I think that, for example, I'm going to counter this because we saw A Monster Calls last night and they're very different subject matter. I mean, no, actually, it is about a kid who's going to lose his mom. So that is very similar, but the way that they go about showing this is very different. And the storylines are very different in terms of what happens. Like this one involves several kids, Monster Calls involves just one kid, and just the tones are very different. But A Monster Calls had me bawling in the last act of it. And I'm not saying it's a horrible movie, but it just is very manipulative in the way what it's trying to do. And I don't think it earns that feeling. And I feel like this movie, I like that it made me, it didn't make me feel, it made me feel sad. But then, there was also a little bit of hope in there. And then it doesn't necessarily end on a hopeful note, but it kind of does. Like there's a little bit of, it's not sad and it's not, but it never had me in tears. And I mean, even though the subject matter was very heavy, I thought it dealt with the whole range of emotions really well, and the tone. I felt like the tone. I think was that the tone was pretty consistent, and I thought it was done well. I think I would have liked to see maybe more about the secret society and how the parents knew Count Olaf and why Count Olaf knew these kids. That's the only thing but I get it, the movie felt like good length. It didn't feel overdrawn. So if I were to, maybe there's something that could, they could change. That's what I would like to see a little bit more of. So anyway.
Cool. And now, Bobby, you alluded that you had something.
Oh, but the big one I had written down was, honestly, I think Patrick Warburton would drastically change the tone of this for the better. But if I'm going to keep it simple, I've ran through what I would have liked to have been different. But to keep it simple, answered questions at the end, pose questions at the beginning, answer them at the end, like any good story does. I think this movie has like a finale, but it doesn't really have an ending. Like nothing happens to close out the action or to put us in a different place at the end than we were at the beginning, or to put our characters in a different place at the end than they were at the beginning. So I don't know. That's my big beef with the movie.
Cool. How about you, Lauren?
I want to see the Mads Mikkelsen as Count Olaf movie. And in the reality, and I want to see the next 4 to 10 movies. I feel like seeing how it would grow and change, I would really like them to finish their grand vision, which they probably didn't fully have as a grand vision, just let's make money.
I think the 2 older kids are too old to do a series of them, especially because they're going to get too old, I think.
Of course.
So they're not young enough to...
Especially now.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I don't know much about the Netflix series. I'm purposely not looking into it at all.
Oh, Neil
but
Patrick Harris is in it.
I knew that. But
Patrick Warburton.
The ideal
Is he the
world for
narrator?
me would be if it was 13 episodes and each episode was a book. And I know
plays
that's
I think it
not
might
the
be.
case.
I don't think it's 13 episodes.
I'm not going to
but I
get my hopes
think
up.
each one is, each episode is a book.
We'll see. And then also, if they resolved it this round, like just do the progress.
As for me, I think I would like to see the behind the scenes of Count Olaf getting into character and doing like his like creating these characters. I don't know, and maybe he's workshopping it with his other acting troupe. I actually would like to see more with the troupe because I like all those actors. They're fun actors, and just it would have been fun to have them do more. So that's it for me.
There's one scene that I really appreciate because it made me think of Bobby when they're having rehearsal at the house and Olaf is just sort of vamping in the Jim Carrey way and all of the troupe is falling asleep. That made me think of Bobby.
Yeah, he falls asleep.
Fuck you.
He falls asleep.
No, I mean because that's how much patience you have for Jim Carrey doing his vamping shtick. You're like, ugh. And it felt like the
yeah,
group was
Bobby
kind of on the
moaned
same-
during that scene.
And it felt like the group was on the same page. Like we see this a lot.
Yeah, but he's clearly very talented.
It's right now.
That's funny.
So, final verdicts. Laura, you brought this to us, sort of. Actually, Bobby brought his dislike of it to us, but whatever. You really like this movie.
I
That
do.
hasn't changed, I'm assuming?
Yeah, no, I like it. I bought it on iTunes to watch it. And it's like, I could watch this again.
Every
I like
day.
this movie. Maybe not every day, but I could definitely watch this again. It's fun. And I like it a lot. And fun, and it's the interesting, whimsical movie. And I'm now going to read the books.
Cool. Lauren?
I like it a lot. I know I absolutely acknowledge flaws and it does feel a little long, but I like what they're trying to do. And as a book fan, they did a great job of trying to capture the spirit of the books.
Yeah, I honestly mostly liked it. I remember not liking it, so going back and watching it, it was a little bit surprised. Maybe my standards were lower. There was also a lot that I didn't remember. So it was just kind of a general, like, oh, I didn't care for this. And like I said earlier, just the bad taste of like, oh, great, a bunch of shitty things are going to happen to kids. Fun. But it wasn't that bad. And honestly, I really thought, I'm kind of hit and miss on Jim Carrey, but I thought he was super good in this. I laughed out loud at quite a few things, and I had no problem with his. Maybe I didn't find him as big of a threat as I would if he wasn't so Jim Carrey-y. But I don't know, because I actually did kind of hate him, and I wanted him to get his comeuppance. So maybe I did, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed him. I mostly enjoyed the movie. And Bobby.
Well, I voiced all the things I dislike about the movie, but what I will say is I didn't expect this movie to kind of really, it really made me feel a very familiar frustration of feeling like you're the only intelligent person in the world while you watch like a crazy lunatic madman take over the world and your life. And I'm not trying to like stretch. There was a moment where I'm like, why am I so frustrated with, oh my God, and it felt like a really perfect allegory.
Because like
for
nobody's listening to you.
the crazy bullshit that has happened in the past year.
That's fun. And think of when the movie came out before, right in the height of the Bush presidency.
Oh, is it?
So, I'll give it that.
Yeah, that would have been when he was being re-elected, right?
Yep.
Oh, God. Yeah. That's really interesting. Interesting read on it. Okay, so let's close the book on this movie. And that was not a pun, at least not intended. And let's do things that need no defense. I'll start. There's this podcast that I listened to way back when I first started listening to comics, and at the time it was Tom versus the Flash. This one guy, Tom Caters, reads comic books, not on the podcast, but then he goes through the comic. And it's Silver Age comics, and they're kind of cheesy, and it was very funny. And then he finished up the Flash run till it reached the Golden Age, and then he went. Or I'm sorry, the next age, whatever the hell it was called. And then he started doing JLA, and then he stopped doing the podcast for a long time. He came back after a year and did like 1 or 2 episodes, and then another year went by, and all of a sudden I found episodes in my feed. It is currently called Tom versus Comics, which is what he called it, versus Hate. Tom versus Comics versus Hate. And he brought it back because Trump. He had never asked for money before, and he decided, because he decided that like if he asks for money and he gets it, then he has to do something. And I think he liked the idea of like just dropping it for a year at a time. But he decided with this, with the whole Trump thing, he wanted something positive on the internet, and he set up a Patreon account where everything he gets is going to. And I wrote down his podcast, but I didn't write down this, but it was a Southern something group. I forget what they're called, but they're very much pro free speech and just trying to give something back. And so I would recommend listening to the podcast. It's a lot of fun. And what the hell? I became a Patreon member. I've never done that before, and I supported him because I like his podcast, and it's a smaller podcast, so it's not going to be huge like if Comedy Bang Bang did a thing, and because the money's going to a good cause. So, and anything to help fight Trump. So that's what I'm going to recommend.
What was it called?
It's called Tom versus Hate Tom versus Comics versus Hate.
Sounds cool.
Yeah. Lauren, what about you?
I never prepare appropriately for these, so I always try to take the breaks during the show to rack my brain, and the show did lead me to what I was thinking. The part of the acting troupe, the Hook-Hand Man, who's the character actor that we all recognize from stuff but don't know the name of, the only one. He is in an excellent short film called Speed for Thespians, and it was actually a play that was running in New York, and they did a film version of it, where they are doing the short play The Bear by Anton Chekhov, which in and of itself is a very funny play, and they're doing it on a public bus. And so it's just shot, they're performing the scene in the aisle among actual bus patrons, and it's hilarious, it's a great play, and it's a really interesting take on it, and he's excellent in it. Speed for Thespians.
Cool.
On iTunes.
How about you, Bobby?
So Oscars are approaching and the nominations will be announced soon. Which, give or take the rest of the categories. But my favorite category is always Best Original Song, which is this year going to come down to La La Land versus Moana.
I just figured out that Lin-Manuel's not going to win an Oscar, and it made me really mad.
Probably not.
It made me really mad. I forgot about stupid La La Land.
But 2 of my favorite songs for the year that are almost certainly going to not get nominated, and it makes me sad. One of them was always going to kind of be an outside chance, which was the song Montage from Swiss Army Man, which you should absolutely look up because it's so good.
Is it as good as the South Park montage? Or?
Yeah.
Is this a song that like Daniel that Daniel Radcliffe like farts out? Is that
no?
Because you're talking about how much he farts in the movie.
He does fart in the movie, but that soundtrack, most of that soundtrack is sung by Daniel Radcliffe and Paul Dano. It's wonderful.
Funny.
But the other one, which I would think in a normal year would stand a good chance of getting nominated, is a song from the film Sing Street called Rhythm of the Model, and it's awesome. And you should watch Sing Street and also look at that song because it's a lot of fun.
Got it. DreamWorks Sing.
Yes. You know what? A song from Sing is totally going to fucking get nominated for an Oscar, but we're going to ignore Sing Street, which was a really great movie. So,
and how about you, Laura?
Well, Bobby was talking about Oscar season. We've been checking out a lot of the movies that are in talks, probably going to get nominated. And we watched Moonlight on Friday, and that movie is a really, really great movie. And it was a movie that I wasn't crying after it, but I felt like I had been like hit with a big like brick with, and then it like kept with me, and it was just like, but it like hit my gut and it was like, oh my gosh, like, wow. And then I processed the movie, and it's a really interesting movie, and the way that it's shot is really cool, and actors do a fantastic job, and it's not light, it's very heavy subject matter, and I really thought it is a really good movie. And also, on a lighter note, La La Land is a really good movie too. I enjoyed that one quite a bit. And so if you want kind of a musical, more lighthearted romantic comedy, well, I don't even know if I'd call it a comedy, because it's kind of like a dramedy. See La La Land, and then if you want after that or before that, if you want to see just a heavier, more drama movie, then check out Moonlight. It's really good.
Moonlight had that problem, though, where I feel like Jim Carrey was in a different movie than everyone else.
Jim Carrey is not in Moonlight. Also, if you're like kind of wary of like camera movement, this movie does do a lot of, it's directed very well, but it does move the camera around, and it kind of made me feel a little queasy.
They throw that tripod away.
This is Moonlight? Not La La Land?
This is Moonlight.
Moonlight does have a lot of close-up.
But it's hand-held close-ups. But it's like, if you can get through the first, like, couple of minutes, you'll be fine. But it's just at first it kind of tripped me up a little bit. But that should not stop you from seeing that movie.
Well, now I wish I hadn't let my mom tell me point by point what Moonlight was all about.
I had to plug my fingers in my ears and hum real loud.
Yeah, you should. I did not know. I mean, I knew the kind of general basis of the movie, and I'm not even going to say it because I think you should go in blind, because it's really good. It's interesting to go in
for me
without knowing what it's about,
And we don't want to spoil anything, but one of the characters is primarily CGI.
No.
So, you talked over, I was going to make a good segue. Lauren mentioned having to plug her ears. Now it's time for plugs. Again, I'll go first. My improv troupe we're kind of on our hiatus right now, where we're going to focus on writing and stuff. But we do have a small show that we do every once in a while at this place called Bricks, which has good food. It's Belmont Shore. They have good pretzels. They have good pastrami.
You get sick of it after several shows.
That's true. It's January 24th. I may or may not be there, but you guys should still check it out. It's called Tricks at Bricks at 7 to 9. So check that out.
It's the first time it's been called Tricks at Bricks.
It's always called Tricks at Bricks.
No one ever mentions that.
That's true. It's on Facebook.
Is that their title?
That's what the Improv Collective calls it. Yeah. So yeah, check that out. The show is 7 to 9. There are 2 groups will be on. Ours will be one of them. How about you, Bobby? Anything to plug?
Yeah, I mean, I got that Latchkey cookbook site that I haven't updated since last time, but you can go look at that.
Did you hear we read a bit? You remember when we read a bit last episode?
Yeah.
I played that over the closing credit, or at the end of the credits.
Oh, no.
Lauren.
I'd like to plug Lin-Manuel's music from Moana, because I want that guy to PGOT, Academy members. Like, I get we're all into La La Land, but come on, PGOT. And nothing else for myself.
Yeah, he'll get there.
I
agree with you.
Someday. I'm just anxious. I wanted him to get there before Robert Rodriguez does, because am I doing that right? Avenue Q guy?
No.
Guillermo del Toro.
No.
Okay, back this up and cut this part out, because it's
oh my
embarrassing.
God, wait, no, don't ruin it. Because oh my God, what are their names?
I know Jeff Marks 100%, but poor ethnic one always gets mixed up.
Do you want me to edit this out? Because I think it's compelling.
I just want to be...
Lopez.
God damn it. I would have gotten there if you hadn't said Rodriguez.
But I was mad because I'm always wrong, because I'm a racist and that's terrible.
Well, there's a filmmaker named Rodriguez too. Yeah.
And Laura, I hope you're going to plug In Defense of Bad Movie stuff.
Yeah, we are, email us. We love to hear from people. And please rate us on iTunes, and also contact us on Facebook and like us on Facebook. Twitter is we have a Twitter, but I don't think we look at that too often. So Facebook is probably the best way to contact us, and also email. So that's...
Nice.
Can I shout one thing? Yes. That's not a plug for me again. I'm being terrible. But I was just thinking about what I was looking at yesterday after we watched the movie. It's taken me 12 years, and I've completely not realized until this moment that, oh my gosh, I could look online and try to learn more about what was actually going on in the series of Unfortunate Events books. And so just a shout out to anyone who read the books and had a similar, like, wait, what's happening frustration. I was looking online at sites, and there's some interesting different sites that discuss fan theories. And they're broad and they're weird, but they lent a sort of closure. Like BuzzFeed has a good, 10 best fan theories about series of unfortunate events. And
did it end before? Is it done?
It's done. Yeah.
Oh, and they never finished it?
Yeah, they finish it, but lots of stuff is left unanswered. And so there were neat things like
what a dick.
A fantasy, and it's good, but it's also rough. And so one is like, the books are a metaphor for growing up. And like somehow just reading the theories and imagining them as a metaphor gave me closure that I had not experienced for the last, 10 years. So anyone who has book rage or sadness, try this. It helped.
Or get out there and write your own fan fiction.
No, because
everyone write fan fiction. Read fan fiction.
And if you do slash with the children, I'm going to be disappointed in you.
If you don't do slash, you're failing at life.
I want the Olaf and Violet slash fiction that when they had got married.
Always uncomfortable. I hate this all. And they're going to make a 50 Shades of Grey real successful stupid franchise about it.
Oh my god. I would watch those movies. What?
I wouldn't watch those movies either.
I would not watch those movies.
No.
Oh my god.
All right, guys. Any other big things before we close up shop?
The world's going to end next Friday, so I don't know why we're talking.
I'm totally wearing black.
Live it up.
For the
Take
next
chances.
4 years.
I'm wearing all my Nasty Woman shirts.
Yep.
Guys, I'm going to try to look as white as possible. I don't know about you. It's easy for all you folks.
You
But
live
rest
in
of us
LA,
can't
so you
help
can
it,
argue
yeah.
your tans. Like, that's nice.
Oh
I
my
am
gosh, we live
rolling
in
around
California.
in baby powder
Yeah, we're
and
mostly
cutting my
safe.
hair.
We're
real
going to
short.
be just fine. Well, thanks for listening, and welcome back.
Oh, also,
guys.
I do have one other thing. Sorry.
No, that was beautiful. I loved it.
I wanted to say to our listeners, we don't really get too political. We did mention
I am
something
bracing
about,
But I think our
that
leanings are
we
clear.
are going to
Bring back Prop 8. Bring back Prop 8.
We're going
That's
to be
what
in
we're saying,
hell for
right?
the
That's
next
what
4
she's
years.
saying.
But please, there is talk that Planned Parenthood is going to be defunded and they are going to take away all of the subsidies that it gets. And please donate to Planned Parenthood because it is a great organization for women all over.
It saved my ass several times.
And men all over the
Abortions
country.
is what I'm
and,
talking about.
it's not just abortions. It's just healthcare. And it's, please don't, let the stupid Republicans ruin it for
And if you have an issue with it, abortions are only 3% of what they do, and no government funds can go to abortions. So there's no reason to want to defund them anyway.
It's a lot of education. It's a lot of preventing
it's
the
getting
things that cause
healthcare.
abortion.
Yeah,
it's
and
getting
poor
healthcare.
people.
Yeah. So
let's not.
Yeah, it's fucking nuts, the boner that
Let's
Republican
not let our young
politicians have
generation
about
down.
going after Planned Parenthood. But
yeah,
that's a really cool thing. And you should make your donations out from Mike Pence because that's fun too.
That's always fun.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
And take care. See you next time.
Bye.
Da 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 da. Jimmy Cuba.
Jimmy Cuba.